Starbucks, the global coffee giant with stores on nearly every corner, serving millions of customers daily. To most people, Starbucks is a symbol of cozy coffee shops, friendly baristas, and pumpkin spice lattes. But behind the friendly smiles and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, there's a darker side to the company. Today, we're diving into one of the most controversial moments in Starbucks history, the shocking events that exposed deep-rooted issues in the company's culture. So sit back, relax, and grab your favorite beverage, because this story might change the way you think about your next Starbucks visit. It's April 2018, and Starbucks is at the height of its success. With thousands of locations worldwide, it has become the go-to spot for coffee lovers. But in Philadelphia, inside a seemingly ordinary Starbucks store, an incident was about to unfold that would expose the cracks in the company's public image. Two black men, Rashawn Nelson and Dante Robinson, entered a Starbucks in Philadelphia's Rittenhouse Square for a business meeting. They weren't there to grab a coffee. They were simply waiting for their associate to arrive. But what should have been a routine meeting quickly turned into a nightmare. A Starbucks manager, noticing that the men hadn't made a purchase, called the police. Moments later, officers arrived, arrested the men, and escorted them out in handcuffs. Their crime? Simply sitting at a Starbucks. The video of the incident, captured on a bystander's phone, went viral almost instantly. Social media exploded with outrage. People were shocked that in 2018, in a so-called progressive company like Starbucks, two black men could be arrested simply for waiting in a store. The hashtags #boycott Starbucks and Starbucks while black trended across Twitter, with thousands calling for accountability. Starbucks had built its brand on the promise of being a welcoming third place, a place between home and work where people could relax. But this incident shattered that image, revealing a culture that many now saw as discriminatory. Critics accused the company of fostering an environment where racial profiling could occur, despite its public stance on diversity and inclusion. In an unprecedented move, Starbucks announced that it would close over 8,000 stores across the United States for a full day to conduct racial bias training. On May 29th, 2018, nearly 175,000 employees sat through training sessions designed to address unconscious bias. But while this move was applauded by some, others saw it as nothing more than a PR stunt. Critics argued that a single day of training wasn't enough to fix deep-seated issues. Activists and community leaders called for more substantial changes, pointing out that racial profiling wasn't just a Starbucks problem. It was a societal issue. Some Starbucks employees even admitted that the training felt rushed and superficial, leaving many wondering whether the company was more interested in saving face than making real change. And the skepticism didn't end there. Reports surfaced that Starbucks had partnered with a consulting firm that had previously been criticized for its own diversity practices. It raised the question, was Starbucks genuinely committed to change? Or was this just another corporate play to protect its bottom line? As the dust began to settle, Starbucks agreed to a confidential financial settlement with Nelson and Robinson, along with an offer to pay for their college education. But for many, this wasn't enough. The incident had exposed something far more damaging than just a single bad decision by a rogue manager. It revealed the possibility of a systemic problem within Starbucks. If you thought that was the end of Starbucks' troubles, think again. In recent years, the company has been embroiled in a new scandal. accusations of union busting. As baristas across the country began to push for better wages and working conditions, Starbucks took a hard line against unionization efforts. Reports of managers firing pro-union employees, closing stores that voted to unionize, and even spying on organizing efforts surfaced. In March 2023, Howard Schultz, the former CEO, was called to testify before the U.S. Senate regarding these allegations. Under intense questioning, Schultz denied that Starbucks was engaging in union-busting tactics. But the evidence presented by labor activists told a different story. Leaked emails, testimonies from former employees, and even recordings from internal meetings suggested that Starbucks was going to great lengths to prevent unionization. Starbucks has always portrayed itself as a socially responsible company, a place where progressive values are not just talked about, but practiced. But these scandals exposed what some called a culture of hypocrisy. How can a company that claims to support equality and social justice be accused of racial discrimination and anti-union practices? So where does Starbucks go from here? Can the company rebuild trust with customers and employees? Or has the damage been too great? Only time will tell. One thing is for sure. Starbucks has a lot of work to do if it wants to restore its reputation as a socially conscious brand. And as Starbucks faces increasing competition from up-and-coming coffee chains that emphasize ethical sourcing and fair labor practices, the pressure is on. If Starbucks can't adapt and make meaningful changes, it risks losing the loyalty of its customers, and that's something no amount of PR can fix. Starbucks may have weathered the storm, but its reputation has been permanently scarred by these controversies. The next time you grab your favorite latte, consider the hidden costs behind the company's polished image. But Starbucks isn't the only giant with skeletons in its closet. If you thought this story was shocking, wait until you hear about Walmart's toxic dumping scandal. In our next video, we'll expose how the world's largest retailer was caught illegally dumping hazardous waste, leaving a trail of environmental damage in its wake. Click on the next video to uncover Walmart's dark secrets. Cheers!